The Cenotaph Guard, A Company 1128th Battalion, Royal West Australian Regiment will now march on. The Bunbury RSL would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land in which we meet today. We'd like to pay our respects to the elders past and present. Today's service is held under COVID-19 restrictions and we ask you to observe the following. QR code check-in via the Safe WA app or mandatory contact register. Sanitiser stations are available. Please observe the 1.5 physical distancing. If you are unwell, please don't attend. Please take all rubbish with you when you leave, and if you have not done your QR check-in, please do so when leaving. Any organisation who wishes to lay a wreath, please be prepared to move forward to the right-hand side of the dais here. Regrettably, our guest of honour, Captain Savage, will not be with us today because of the current lockdown. Good morning everyone and welcome to this 2021 ANZAC Day commemoration service. No doubt many people stood at the end of their driveways this morning, once again, to pay homage to the fallen, as we saw last year when it was not possible to hold ANZAC Day services. The Aussie spirit triumphed and found a way, which is certain to continue into the future. It's been an up and down ride as to whether our ANZAC Day commemoration would go ahead today. But with some adjustments to our service and timelines to satisfy health and safety requirements, we are here on this special day. In the past few days, many schools in our region have held ANZAC Day services. Wreaths were laid this morning at the Rathmines Memorial and the Arnold Sykes Foreshore Park. We are once again grateful to the many volunteers who contribute each year to make this a safe event. Drinking water is available from the Aquest tanker at the rear, and St John's Ambulance is in attendance. We welcome our distinguished guests here today, our Mayor Gary Brennan, Jessica Fulton and Scott Toyer, senior students from the Bunbury Catholic College, members of the clergy, parliamentarians, police, judiciary, DFES and Legacy Laurel Club. Today's a special day when we remember those, whether service personnel or civilians, who suffered or continue to suffer through war. We remember those who served in our defence forces from the Boer War to Afghanistan, as well as personnel serving as part of the United Nations forces in peacekeeping operations. Last month was the centenary of the Royal Australian Air Force. The RAF was officially formed on the 31st of March 1921, but before that there were 8 Australian Flying Corps squadrons which took part in World War I. During World War I, 1,800 officers and 2,500 men served with the Australian Flying Corps, and 175 of them lost their lives. The RAAF had an interesting and rapid journey after being formed in 1921. In 1922, aircraft production started in Australia, with the Avro 540K trainers being built, and later 755 Wirraway aircraft were built in the 1930s. During World War II, the Royal Australian Air Force fought in many theatres around the world, and the RAAF development surged ahead. In 1944, the RAF peaked at 182,000 personnel and 6,200 aircraft in 60 squadrons. And in 1945, at the end of World War II, Australia had the fourth largest air force in the world after USA, USSR and UK. That's an incredible statistic. Nearly 9,000 RAAF personnel lost their lives during World War II, with over 55% of these deaths occurring in the air war over Europe. A former mayor of Bunbury, the late Dick Mackenzie, was a Spitfire pilot during the World War II, as were many Australians. The commemoration will commence with a tribute to the flags. The Reverend Mark Bell, of the Uniting Church, will lead us in the Lord's Prayer.
I invite you to join me in praying the Lord's Prayer, or in the way your tradition and faith you practice, or just in the silence of your hearts. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory, now and forever. Amen.
The first hymn is Lest We Forget, the tune of Eternal Father. RSL Combined Choir, Sharon Cousins, Bunbury City Band, Musical Director Jeff Ogden, and Bunbury Men of Song, Musical Director Ian Mills, accompanist Greg Ross. The ANZAC Requiem today will be delivered by Jessica Fulton and Scott Chuia, senior students at the Bunbury Catholic College.
the 25th of April, above all days, we remember those Australian men and women who died or suffered in the great tragedy of war. On the morning of April 25th, 1915, Australian and New Zealand troops landed under fire at Gallipoli, and it was then and in the violent campaign which followed that the ANZAC tradition was forged. The elements of that tradition have inspired and offered an enduring example to later generations of Australians. The whole Gallipoli operation lasted 8 months, however, cost 26,111 Australian casualties, including 8,709 deaths.
Each year we pay homage not only to those original ANZACs, but to all who died or were disabled in their service to this country. They enrich our nation's history. Their hope was for the freedom of mankind, and we remember with pride and courage their compassion and their comradeship. They served on land and sea and in the air, in many places throughout the world. Not only do we honour the memory of those Australians who have fallen in battle, we share the sorrow of those who have mourned them and of all who have been victims of armed conflict. On this day, we remember with sympathy those Australians who have suffered as prisoners of war and those who, because of war, have had their lives shortened or handicapped. We recall staunch friends and allies, and especially those in the first ANZAC Day. May we and our successors prove worthy of their sacrifice.
Thank you. Now we'll have the wreath laying. So people laying wreaths, if they could make their way to this area to my right, and the wreath laying will be led by Bunbury City Council and the RSL. You can actually walk behind the memorial, between the memorial and the hedge.
Australian Army Cadets. Bunbury, Mr. Gary Brennan. Oh, sorry, that's for Don Punch, sorry. Gary Brennan. Mr. Don Punch. Department of Fire and Emergency Services. Bunbury State Emergency Service. WA Partners of Veterans of Bunbury branch. West Australian Police Force. St John Ambulance. Adam Road Primary School. Bunbury Catholic College. Leschenault Catholic Primary School. St Joseph's Primary School. St Mary's Primary School. Bunbury Cathedral Grammar School. Bunbury High School. Coinda Primary School. I know. Newton Moore High School. Senior College. Eton Community College. Bunbury Primary School. Bunbury City Band. Anglican Diocese of Bunbury. Battalion, West Australian Regiment. Its Royal Australian Navy, our guest of honour today, Bunbury.
If there's anyone else who would like to lay a wreath or a flower, would they please come forward now? Stand by for the last post.
They went with songs to the battle. They were young, straight of limb, true of eyes, steady and aglow. They were staunch to the end against odds unencountered. They fell with their faces to the foe. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. Lest we forget.
The next hymn is O God, Our Help in Ages Past. Jeff Ogden, Musical Director. President of the Bunbury RSL, Mr John Jelmy.
Good morning. Just like to thank the wonderful turnout of 710 Air Force cadets and our parade. There's a few thank yous to get through, but before I do that, I would just like to give you a phone call I got from Captain Anthony Savage, Royal Australian Navy, saying that he was really disappointed that he couldn't get down here today. There was no way he could run the gauntlet. His superiors would probably jump on him if he did. So he sends his apologies, and hopefully he'll come back to us one day in some other one of our commemorations. There's a few thank yous to get through, and of course with COVID, we've all suffered immensely, I'm sure, and I feel sorry for those RSLs in the Perth Peel area that went to all and I know how big a deal it is to put on this particular commemoration. There's a lot of paperwork, a lot of work, and my heart goes out to those other RSLs up in Perth and the Peel area. Some 40 of them had their ANZAC days cancelled. To get on with the thank yous, I'd just like to go back to the dawn service very quickly. South West Coastal District Scouts, they did a cenotaph guard very earlier in the night. And then the Australian Emergency Service Cadet Unit, they did rather a long one. They went from 10 o'clock till 6 a.m. this morning. So they did a double shift, which I'm very grateful to them for it. 515 Army cadets have been helping out with our COVID coverage out there, checking to make sure people are ticketed and generally helping out set up. So I thank 515 very much. They stepped aside so 710 could do the dawn service this morning, and I thank them for it. The 710 squadron, of course, Air Force cadets turns 80 and our Australian Air Force turns 100. So it's quite an achievement by both those services. I'd like to thank A Company, 1128 Royal West Australian Regiment. They're actually on the cenotaph now. The Reverend Mark Bell, Uniting Church. The Bunbury City Band, Jeff Ogden, Musical Director. Thank the City Band, they've been doing this for a long time, and they support us every year with our ANZAC services from the city. It's great. Sharon Cousins, Chorus Master of the RSL Choir. I thank Sharon for her efforts and her support leading up to ANZAC Day. Bunbury Men of Song, Musical Director Ian Mills. Thank you, Ian. once again, wonderful job, well done. Thank you very much for your support, and I'm sure it adds very much to our commemoration. Particular thank you to Jessica Fulton and Scott Tour for their ANZAC Requiem. I think they did a wonderful job with it from the Bunbury Catholic College, so thank you very much. Our bugler, Brett Corkery, thank you, Brett. 39 years today. He's done 39 years. He told me it was 40, and then I reminded him that we missed a year last year. Charlie Phillips, our piper this morning. Charlie always does a great job. Thanks, Charlie. Lottery West, AC West. I'd just like to thank SES and Men's Shed, who have helped out also with our COVID patrols and make sure that everyone abides by the rules and is ticketed. So SES Men's Shed, thank you very much. St John's Ambulance. Special thank you to Trevor Kenny, our parade marshal, stepped in at the last minute. Thank you, Trevor. I'd like to thank the parade marshals. They're all around the place, some with yellow jackets. And then you've got the COVID marshals. They've got those rather leery jackets on, those other coloured ones, those orange ones from memory. I'd like to thank them, and also 515 for their assistance with them. Alf Mainstone, Master of Ceremonies, thank you, Alf. He's been doing it for, I think he said 11 years. So thank you very much, Alf. I'd just like to thank the A Commander 1128, a warrant officer, Ewan Downs, for his support leading up to the Cenotaph Guard that we've got there now. To all your veterans and service members, for your turnout today, I sincerely thank you. It's important that we get turnout. I know a lot of us are ageing. There's an ageing population amongst you, but you're all fairly strong and wiry. I know you'll still keep fronting up as long as you can. And to Normie Eaton over there, 102. Normie, nice to see you here, Norm. Just in the front there in a wheelchair. And all the schools that are represented, most of them laid reefs, you probably heard who they were. I thank them very much for their support. Unfortunately this year, as you know, we had to cut them back to 2 students per school. Hopefully next year we can get back to the way down at the Bricknell Memorial and get the cars back out so we can transport our older veterans, which have been a bit hard this year because we didn't have the room down here to do it. Lastly, the public, in your support of our ANZAC commemoration. Without you and your support, it would not exist, and we need your continued support. I thank you all very much. Thank you.
Thanks, John. We're now going to sing I Am Australian.
Stood upon the rocky shore, I watched the
Stand by for the national anthems, God Defend New Zealand and Advance Australia Fair. Bunbury men have sung ANZAC Day and the Cenotaph Guard will march off.
heroes have marched away. This town is quiet on Anzac Day, oh so quiet on Anzac Day. Now the bands have stopped their rant, through the lonely streets they tramp. All the heroes have marched away. We do recall this day, lest we forget on this day. Some with ribbons on their chest, some in a muddy field they rest, lest we forget. So quiet on Anzac Day, all the heroes have left, count the rainy streets they go. All the heroes have marched away. This town is quiet on Anzac Day, oh so quiet. All
That concludes our service, everyone. Thanks very much for your attendance.
A soldier boy without a heart has two strikes on him from the start, and my heart at the stage door